Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Promoted Sandra. If this is the first time you are coming across this channel, thank you very much for stopping by. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you very much for coming back. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to cut and sew a short Ankara dress. Here is the Ankara we are going to be using for the tutorial, and this is the lining I'm going to be using for it, and this is the zip I'm going to be attaching to it. So before we continue, I quickly want to appreciate you guys for liking, commenting and subscribing to my YouTube channel. Please don't wait to watch this video from the start to the end so that you don't miss any important information. So the first thing we are going to be doing is to cut the back side of this dress before we end up cutting the front. The reason is because the back side of this dress does not have a zipper, okay, while the front side have a zipper. So we are going to be cutting the back side first, then we'll use it to cut out the front side of this dress. And for this fabric, you're going to see that this downside has a design. So this design is what I'm going to be cutting out to use on the hand, while I'm going to be starting or cutting my fabric from the beginning, this other side. As I said I'm going to be cutting the back first. So for us to do that, I'm going to be drawing out a straight line here, which is going to be serving as my shoulder starting point. And the next thing we are going to be doing, I'll go ahead to impute my half length measurement. So the half length I'm working with is 15. I'll go ahead to mark 15, and the gown length I'm working with is 37. So I'll go ahead to mark 37. This is 37. I'll go ahead to add 1 inch joining allowance or turning allowance to turn the lining. So this is all that we need. So I'll go ahead to mark a straight line across like this. So because there is white on this fabric, I don't know if you guys will be able to see the check very well, but just pay attention. This is the line. So I will come up to the shoulder. I will impute my shoulder measurement. So the shoulder measurement I'm working with is 30. 30 divided by 2 is going to give me 6.5. So I'll go ahead to impute 6.5. The armhole measurement is 70. 70 divided by 2 is going to give me 8.5. So I'll go ahead to mark 8.5 over here. There I will join the points together like this. This is very easy, just pay attention, okay? Just pay attention to it. Remember, this is the back side. We are drafting the back side, not the front side. And if you notice, this is the open part, okay? We are not drafting directly to this open part. Rather, we are drafting directly to the closed side because the back is going to be closed while the front is going to be open. I will come to my shoulder. I will impute my neck measurement. So the wideness of the neck is going to be 3. Then I will come down by 1 inch. Because this is the back side, I will come down by 1 inch. So let's say for instance, the neck you are working with is 3.5 inch. You go ahead to impute 3 inch. Most especially if you are drafting directly on your fabric, you don't cut the exact measurement, because remember you're going to be joining it. If you cut the exact measurement, after joining it, you're going to have excess or extra or big neck. I don't know how to put that. I believe you guys understand what I'm saying. So go ahead to minus ½ inch from your neck measurement and impute the remaining one. I was supposed to make use of 3.5. Because I'm drafting this directly on my fabric, I went ahead to minus ½ and I'm working with 3 inches. So for the length of the neck, I'm working with 1.5 inches, but because I'm drafting this directly on my fabric, as I earlier said, I went ahead to impute 1 inch. So I will just go ahead to join this point to this point, okay, with my French curve like this. So this is it. I hope you guys are seeing it. So once I was done doing that, I will come to my shoulder over here. I will come down by ½ inch. So I will join this point to this ½ inch I just marked over there. So this is what we are going to have. Then I'll go ahead to connect my armhole, but before I do that, I'll go ahead to impute her bust measurement. The bust measurement I'm working with is 36. 36 divided by 4 is 9. So I'll go ahead to impute 9, just like this, okay? Then I'll take my French curve and connect the armhole together. So this is what we have. I hope you guys can see it. With the waist measurement I'm working with is 32. 32 divided by 4 is going to give me 8. So I'll go ahead to impute 8 like this. I'll mark 8. To determine your hip, you go ahead and mark. So from your shoulder you mark 22. It depends on where your hip is starting from and all that. So from the shoulder I'm going to be marking 22. So this is going to be serving as our hip line. I'll go ahead to draw a straight line across. I will impute the hip measurement I'm working with. The hip I'm working with is 42. 42 divided by 4 is going to give me 10.5. So I'll go ahead to impute 10.5. Now that I'm done imputing my hip measurement, I will come down and also impute the hip measurement over here. Instead of imputing 10.5, I'll go ahead to impute 10. I'll impute 10. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to draw on the points together before I will start adding my sewing allowance. So now that I'm done joining the points together, the next thing I'm going to be doing is to add my sewing and ease allowance. I'm going to be starting from the bust line, so I'll go ahead to add 2-inch sewing and ease allowance. Okay, so I'll go to the waistline. I'll also impute that too as well, and then I will go to the hip line. I will impute 3 inches as the sewing and ease allowance. The reason why I'm adding 3 is because for my client, she said she don't want her dress to be too big, and if you check the upper part of this dress, it's kind of a little bit tight, not too tight like stable, while for the down is kind of a little bit big. So this is not a pencil gown but a straight gown. That's why I'm adding 3 inches. So ½ inch is going to be serving as the journey allowance between the lining and the fabric. 1 inch is going to be my sewing allowance, while the remaining 1.5 inch for the down is going to be the ease allowance. So for the up, 1 inch is going to be serving as the ease, or ½ inch is going to be serving as the ease allowance. I will go to the down side of the fabric. I will also impute that 3 inches as I did for the waistline. Then I'll go ahead to join the points together, just like as you can see me doing. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to cut this out. So for this armhole, I'll go ahead to extend the length before I finally cut it, so I don't end up shorting my fabric. The next thing I'm going to be doing now is to draft the front with this back side. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to cut the front side of this dress. So I'll go ahead to fold my fabric into 2, just like as you can see me doing. And I'm going to be making use of the open side for the front. Remember, we are going to be attaching zip at the front side. I'm not going to be making use of the closed side but the open side. So once I was done folding it into 2, I'll go ahead to place the back side to the front side. I'll place it at the front side. Okay, so once I'm done placing it at the front side, I'm going to be taking my zipper allowance, which is going to be 1.5 inch. So I'll go ahead to mark 1.5 inch from the up to the down side. So once I'm done marking it, I'll go ahead to take my ruler and draw a straight line across, just like as you can see me doing. So once I'm done rolling it, the back side is going to be placed directly on that line. Okay, so before I cut this out, I'm going to notch the zipper line. Okay, I'm going to be notching it so that I'll know where the zipper is going to be starting from. The next thing I'm going to be doing now is to cut it out. So before I cut out the side, I will go ahead to notch the down part as well. Pay attention to what I'm about to do. This is the front. When it comes to cutting the neck for the front, we are not going to be coming down by 1 inch like we did for the back side. So we are going to be coming down by 3 inches. I was supposed to come down by 3.5 inches. Because I'm cutting this directly on my fabric, I will come down by 3 inches. So once I'm done sewing it, it will end up on 3.5 inch. I'll make sure I mark out the shoulder point over here so it will be equal. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to connect this point to this point. Then I will use this straight line and mark a straight line across for the zipper. like this. Okay, hope you guys can see it. So the next thing I'm also going to be doing now is to mark the shoulder slope point. This is the shoulder slope point. I will trace out the armhole for the back at the front side. I will trace it out like this. So once I'm done tracing it out, I will still come down and mark a straight line across like this, just to know the line of our armhole. Okay, this is it. So what I'm going to be doing now is to mark a straight line across from this point to this point. Just watch out what I'm about to do. You can even go ahead to mark a straight line instead of giving it this curve. I'm going to be connecting this point to this point, which is our shoulder slope. Once I'm done connecting it, the next thing I'm going to be doing is to divide my armhole by 2. I'm going to look for the midpoint. So what I have here is 8. Okay, 8 divided by 2 is going to give me 4. I'll mark out the point, then I'll come in by half an inch. The back armhole is different from the front armhole, so we are going to come in by half an inch like this. Then we are going to connect from this point to this point and connect it to this line. Just like this. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to cut out the neck like this. I'll cut it out. Then once I'm done cutting it out, then I'll place my fabric back like this. I'll place the back like this. Then I will cut out the rest. Just watch out what I'm doing. I'll come to the down part and cut it out. So we are done with this. The next thing I'm going to be doing right now is to cut this out on my linings. Then the next thing I'm going to be cutting out is the sleeve. Okay, so I will just go ahead to mark a straight line across this fabric, which is going to be serving as a starting point for me. Okay, so I don't want my sleeve to start from the label line, so that's why I went ahead to mark a straight line. Once I'm done doing that, I'll go ahead to measure the length of the sleeve. The length I'm working with is 12 inches, but because this sleeve has a bob at the down, I'm going to minus 4 inch. So if you want to minus 5, 6, depends on you, depending on how big you want your bob to be. You can decide to go up by 6, 5. For me, I will be going up by 4 inch. Then once I'm done marking it, I'll go ahead to mark a straight line across. Okay, I'll also go ahead to add ½ inch joining allowance. So this is going to be serving as joining allowance to the bob at the down side. So once I'm done doing that, I will go to the upper part of the sleeve. I will come down by 3 inches. I will mark a straight line across there. Then from the upper part of the sleeve, I will draw a curve from that starting point and down to the 3 inches I also marked at the ending part. So just like as you can see me doing, I'm going to be making a separate video on how to draft your sleeve, but if you already know how to draft your sleeve, no problem, you can go ahead to do that. While for the down, I'm going to be imputing my round ankle measurements. Okay, so whatever measurement you have, you will divide it by 2 and impute it. And I will also add my joining allowance as well. So once I'm done adding the sewing allowance, I will draw a slant line from the upper side to the down side. For the upper side, you are going to be imputing your armhole measurements. So like the armhole I'm working with is 70 divided by 2 is 8.5. So that is what I have for the upper side. They also went ahead to add 1.5 inch joining allowance. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to cut this out. So just watch out how I'm going to be cutting this. I'm going to be cutting this for the down. Okay, that is basically or nothing else. So back to the main dress, as you can see, I've gone ahead to cut out the lining for both the back and the front of the dress. So if you see, the lining is shorter than the main fabric. Okay, remember we actually added 1 inch at the down part when we are drafting it, which is going to be serving as our joining allowance. So if you, as you can see, I went ahead to cut the lining to the exact point we mark at the down part. So the 1 inch we added as the sewing allowance, once we are done joining it to the lining, the fabric will be showing instead of the lining to be showing. So I believe you guys understand what I'm saying. So that is basically all. This is the dress, as you can see. So the dress is longer than the lining. That is just one thing you need to keep in mind. So So the next thing we are going to be doing now is to start joining all the pieces together. So the first thing I'm going to be doing now is to line the front part of this dress, as you can see me doing. So I'll go ahead to use my pin and pin it together before taking it to my sewing machine to sew. I will take it to my sewing machine and sew it. After sewing it, I will remove the pin, then open the lining from the, I will separate the lining from the fabric and top stitch it. So after top stitching on it, I'll come to this down side. I will use my hand to drag the lining and pin it down with the made fabric. The reason why I'm dragging it is because the lining is shorter than the made fabric. I'll go ahead and sew it twice. After sewing it, this is how it's going to look like, just like as you can see. Okay, so you guys understand it now. Then I'll go ahead and run a stitch from the starting to the end, then join the sides together. After joining the sides together, I will turn it out from the armhole. I'm not going to be sewing the shoulder and also the armhole, so I will turn it out from the armhole. I'm going to be doing same for the other side as well, and also for the back side. So that is what I'm basically going to be doing for everything. So I've gone ahead to sew it, and I also went ahead to iron it. As you can see, I went ahead to pin it down with a pin, a safety pin. So remember, I actually said I'm going to be turning this out from the armhole. So I'm just going to take this to the sewing machine and sew the shoulder, and as well I'm going to be sewing the armhole after turning it out and after ironing it. So I'm just going to keep this aside, and this is the front side of the dress. Okay, so this is it. I went ahead to iron 1 inch in for the zipper allowance, and this is the best guide when it comes to sewing your zip. You should fold in your zipper allowance. Okay, so this is how it is. This is beautiful. So I'm also going to go ahead to sew the armhole and also the shoulder, as you can see in this video. So what I'm going to be doing now is to place this right side facing right side. Okay, as you can see me doing. So I'm just going to face two of them together, and after that I'm just going to take my zip and place it on it, just to know where my zipper is going to be ending. And as you can see, this is where it's ending. I'm just going to take this, I will take my tape and measure from the down to the upper part, because I'm going to be joining the down first before I insert the zip. So I went up by 5 inch. You can decide to go up by 6 inch, 7 inch or 8 inch. That depends on what you want. For me, I went up by 5 inch. So after that, the next thing I'm going to be doing is to take it to my sewing machine and sew from the down to that 5 inch that I actually measured. So guys, I've gone ahead to sew it. This is how it look, and I also went ahead to insert the zip on it. This is how beautiful it is. So after sewing it down, I went ahead to sew the zip on it, as you can see. After that, I'm just going to be placing the back side of this dress to the front side, and I'm just going to take it to my sewing machine and sew the shoulder. As you can see, I will go ahead to take the body measurement I'm working with. I will sew it, then I will also sew the other side as well. So I'm just going to keep this aside, and after I'm done sewing it, I'll go ahead to sew the sleeve to it. Okay, this is the one I'm going to be using as a poke for the hand. So for the down side, as you can see, I went ahead to fold it in with 1/2 inch. That is where I'm going to be inserting my elastic. Okay, because as you can see in this video on the screen, you're going to see that the down side of this sleeve is poke. So after that, I'm just going to come back and show you guys the outcome. Okay, so guys, this is the outcome of the dress. See how beautiful, neat, clean this is. Okay, so guys, we come to the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and as well, leave your comments at the comment section. Was this video helpful? Is this gown beautiful? Do you like it? And also, if you have any question, let me know at the comment section. I'll be glad to respond to you. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do it to subscribe and turn on post notification. Bye, see you on my next video, same day, same time. Bye.